Hi! So I am obsessed with the Owl House, and I have a couple of Owl House themed videos planned for this fall season, but for this video I am going to make a Hexside uniform. I am specifically going to be making Willow's outfit, but because all the characters wear a similar uniform if you were wanting to be a student at Hexside, the only thing that's different are the underclothes. Their uniforms are super cute and pretty simple. The only thing I'm going to actually have to sew are the capelet and the overshirt. And there's a little belt too. The first thing I'm going to make for this build is the capelet. So I'm gonna stop talking and start cutting some fabric. The materials I used for the capelet were some black broadcloth and a gold button. The cape is essentially a circle skirt. I put the math here, but you're just measuring towards your neck. Make sure you leave a lot of loose space around your neck, so when you sew it all together it's not too tight. And for the length, I made sure I measured over my shoulder, that way it would be long enough on the sides. Also, my She-Ra armor behind me makes it look like I have elf ears. Then on the folded corner, I just took my measurements and started making a quarter of a circle, essentially, which turns into a giant donut when you unfold it. And then I just cut a straight line to create an opening for the cape, and I did all these steps again for the lining as well. Then I tried it on, and you could leave it like this, but I wanted it to be shorter in the front, so I just took some chalk and measured how long I wanted it and where I wanted to stop cutting, and these were just the markings for the length I would cut off. Here's me trying it on with the extra length cut off, and I liked it, so I traced it onto my lining. And the last piece that needed to be cut out for the cape was the hood. I measured my neckline and then found a hood that I liked from my closet and made sure it would fit the neckline, and I just traced it onto my fabric. I cut out 4 of these, 2 pieces for the lining and 2 pieces for the outer layer. Then I attached the hood to my capelet. I marked the middle of the neckline and then the seam of the hood, lined those up, and pinned them together. Then I took my 2 cape pieces and pinned the right sides together. I made sure when I was sewing it I left an empty space so I would be able to flip it inside out later. Here I am flipping my cape inside out, and then I just took the end of a paintbrush handle to make sure my corners were looking all nice and neat, and then I ironed it all down. Next, I just sewed closed the opening that I used to flip the cape inside out, and it was almost done. I just needed to add the button. I used my chalk to mark where I wanted the button and buttonhole to be. In the past, I would sew my buttonholes by hand, but I wanted to try something new, and I used the button setting on my machine. I did a lot of practice beforehand, but it was fun learning a new skill. Then I just attached my button and the cape was done. For the tunic, I had this leftover gray fabric I just had lying around, but it was too light, so I just dyed it darker with some black dye. And then I also dyed the top for her underclothes because they were not matching my pants and they were too blue, so I added some yellow and it totally matches better now. Okay, so now that I have the fabric dyed to the right color, I'm going to use this pattern. I'm going to use the front and back pieces and just shorten it to the length that I need. But yep, that's it. This fabric ended up being really thin, so I cut out a lining for this as well. The process for this was pretty straightforward. You just take your pieces and sew them together, and then I took my lining and outer piece and attached them at the bottom hem, and then hemmed my neckline and shoulders together. But in all honesty, an oversized t-shirt would work perfectly for this, and you wouldn't have to sew anything. Hi. The tunic was done and it was on to the last and probably easiest part of this costume, the belt. I just took how thick I wanted it and doubled it, and then took my waist measurement, added like 2 inches for the overlap, and folded it in half. And I made sure when I was sewing it, I also left a space where I could flip it inside out. For the closure of the belt, I just sewed on some Velcro, and with that done, the costume was ready for the reveal. Willow is all done. I am in love with this costume. It's so simple and comfy, but I feel so cute wearing it, and I love Willow, and getting to cosplay her is so fun. Also, while I was filming this, they announced the release date for the last season. I'm so excited for more Owl House, but at the same time, I don't want it to end after these episodes, so it's gonna be emotional watching these last episodes. But yeah, that is pretty much the video. If you're planning on making a Hexside uniform yourself, I hope this was a little helpful. And if you have any other questions, just comment and I will try and answer them the best I can. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Twilight.